September 12, 1974, Emperor Haile Selassie I, the Lion of Judah, was overthrown. His 44-year reign, filled with both progress and turmoil, came to an abrupt end. The Derg, a military committee with Marxist-Leninist leanings, seized power. It was a turning point for Ethiopia, marking the beginning of a dark chapter. A 700-year-old monarchy gone. The emperor, once seen as a godlike figure, was dethroned. Selassie's removal was swift and decisive. The Derg, fueled by discontent within the military and among the populace, moved quickly to consolidate power. They placed Selassie under house arrest, isolating him from his supporters and the outside world. The news of the coup sent shockwaves through Ethiopia and the international community. The emperor, a symbol of African independence and a towering figure on the world stage, had fallen. The Derg's takeover was just the beginning. They announced the end of the monarchy, shattering centuries of tradition. Ethiopia, once a beacon of imperial rule in Africa, was now firmly in the hands of the military. Haile Selassie, now Red Emperor of Ethiopia, descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, a leader who straddled tradition and modernity. His reign was a tapestry woven with threads of progress and stagnation. He was a modernizer, yet his rule was marked by deep-seated inequalities. He introduced Ethiopia's first constitution in 1931. He established a parliament, albeit with limited power. He founded Addis Ababa University, the country's first institution of higher learning. His vision extended beyond Ethiopia's borders. He played a pivotal role in the formation of the Organization of African Unity. Yet Selassie's reign was also marked by criticism and discontent. His modernization efforts often failed to reach the majority of Ethiopians. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, fueling resentment. His government was accused of being autocratic, suppressing dissent. The absence of a free press stifled criticism. Selassie's Ethiopia grappled with inequality and political repression. The emperor's handling of the devastating drought in the early 1970s further eroded his standing. The famine exposed the government's inability to effectively respond to crises. The overthrow of Haile Selassie was not a sudden eruption. It was the culmination of years of simmering discontent. Like a volcano long dormant, the pressures of economic hardship, social unrest, and intellectual revolt finally erupted, shaking the very foundations of the Ethiopian empire. Selassie's inability, or unwillingness, to address these underlying issues created a fertile ground for revolution. Ethiopia, despite Selassie's modernization efforts, remained a predominantly agrarian society heavily reliant on coffee exports. This dependence on a single commodity made the economy vulnerable to price fluctuations in the global market. When coffee prices plummeted in the early 1970s, Ethiopia's economy reeled. The situation was exacerbated by a devastating drought that ravaged the country from 1972 to 1975. The famine that followed exposed the government's inadequacies and fueled widespread anger and frustration. Social unrest bubbled beneath the surface of Ethiopian society. A growing, educated elite, exposed to new ideas and ideologies, chafed under the constraints of Selassie's autocratic rule. They demanded greater political participation, economic opportunities, and social justice. Students, inspired by Marxist-Leninist ideology, became increasingly vocal in their criticism of the government. Section 4. The Derg's rise from coup to totalitarian rule. The Derg, meaning committee, seized control of Ethiopia, promising reform. However, their true intentions soon became clear. Mengistu Haile Mariam consolidated power, unleashing a reign of terror. Internal power struggles and purges thinned their ranks. Mengistu emerged as the Derg's undisputed leader. The Derg abandoned reform, embarking on a campaign of terror. The Red Terror targeted anyone opposing the Derg's rule. The Derg's reign of terror was marked by widespread atrocities and a relentless campaign to crush dissent. Under Mengistu's leadership, the regime deployed brutal tactics to instill fear and maintain control. The infamous Red Terror campaign targeted perceived enemies of the state, resulting in the mass arrest, torture, and execution of thousands of Ethiopians. This period saw the systematic elimination of political opponents, intellectuals, and anyone suspected of disloyalty. The Derg's security forces operated with impunity, conducting raids and purges that left communities devastated. Families were torn apart and the fabric of society was irreparably damaged. The impact of the Derg's terror extended beyond the immediate loss of life. The Derg's lasting legacy on Ethiopia is a complex tapestry of pain, resilience, and transformation. The years of totalitarian rule left deep wounds, but they also ignited a spirit of resistance and a desire for change that would eventually lead to the regime's downfall. Economically, the Derg's policies of nationalization and collectivization wreaked havoc on the country's infrastructure and productivity. The agricultural sector, vital to Ethiopia's economy, suffered immensely, leading to widespread famine and hardship. The regime's mismanagement and corruption only exacerbated the suffering of the Ethiopian people. Socially, the Derg's reign disrupted traditional structures and relationships. The pervasive atmosphere of fear and suspicion eroded trust within communities, and the loss of countless lives left families and neighborhoods shattered. The psychological impact of the terror campaign has had long-lasting effects, influencing how Ethiopians perceive authority and governance. Politically, the fall of the Derg paved the way for a new era in Ethiopian history. Ethiopia's struggle for reconciliation is an ongoing journey, marked by efforts to heal the wounds inflicted by decades of conflict and repression. The process of coming to terms with the past has been both painful and necessary, as the nation seeks to build a foundation for lasting peace and unity. One of the key steps in this journey has been the establishment of mechanisms for truth and justice. Efforts to document the atrocities committed during the Derg's rule and hold perpetrators accountable have been crucial in acknowledging the suffering of victims and their families. These initiatives aim to foster a sense of closure and pave the way for genuine reconciliation. Community-based programs and initiatives have also played a vital role in promoting healing and understanding. By encouraging dialogue and fostering connections between individuals and groups, these efforts help to rebuild trust and repair the social fabric that was torn apart by years of violence and mistrust.